you came in as just a standard employee,
Yes.
and went from that to now you own the company and you've taken
Yes.
it from 3 people to 150 people.
We solve problems. That's what we do every day. We worked on this piece of equipment for, 6, 7 months, took it back to the customer, installed it, and it failed in like 30 seconds. We do not have supervisors out on the floor. I'm a real sucker for kids that want to be entrepreneurs. I don't believe I've ever fired somebody for making a mistake. Anybody can walk in and say they can't do it, but to figure it out, that takes a special person.
What is up, Winning Wealthers? We are super excited for a great conversation today with my buddy, Rocky McGowan. He's CEO of Rotary Airlock and businessman, entrepreneur. He's got a great story. We met him down in Orlando at a fund conference. And, let's just get right into it, man. How about just kind of giving us the 2-minute overview of who is Rocky and, how'd you get started in business and in life, and, bring us up to where you are, and then we'll dive into each of those areas.
Sure. Well, I appreciate you guys bringing me on. It was a blast down in Orlando, by the way. And even though they didn't drink, we still found a way to have some fun. So I appreciate that. But no, it's in all seriousness, I appreciate being on. And my story kind of begins when I was younger. I think a lot of people like to talk about kind of where they end up in life, but they forget kind of the hardships that they go through to get where they're at. Mine wasn't necessarily a pretty story, but I'm grateful for where I came from because it really helped me become who I am. I came home from school after, when I was 12 years old, and my parents moved, and they didn't take me with them. And so I came home, and I was abandoned as a child. I lived under the bridges. I lived in cars. I lived with friends. I did all kinds of stuff. I was emancipated at 13. I became financially independent, and I just learned at that point. I realized at 13, there's no one else going to bail me out. It was me. And so I learned to start working hard. I learned that I needed to do what I had to do to take care of me. And it was kind of a challenge, but as I go back through and I look at those challenges that I faced when I was younger, I realized that when I'm going through hardships in business, it's really, kind of makes it a little bit easier. It's
Amen.
like I've kind of been there, done that. It's like, well, this challenge is hard, but it's not really as hard as some, real life.
Yeah.
Real life that people have to deal with
At
every day.
13 years old.
So I'm not homeless anymore. So it's, we got bills to pay, we got businesses to grow, we got things to do, but I'm not homeless. I'm not facing those decisions. So basically, as I got going through life, I realized that you couldn't really make excuses. Couldn't really make excuses for who you are. You just had to realize where you're at and then how you could just move forward. And I had a couple great people that gave me some opportunities. And I went to school. I had an opportunity to play football. I was kind of gifted in football, but I was misguided, very misguided. I had a lot of the aggression, to do that, but I didn't really have the smarts. I got kicked off the team in 5 days after playing college ball, and came home, got into some more trouble, and then I just decided, you know what, I need to stop this train wreck of a life that I'm on. And I volunteered down at my church and said, you know what, I'm going to give my life back to the Lord. I'm just going to volunteer here until I find a job. And I found this job at this place called Rotary Airlock. And I got an opportunity as a sandblaster there, and it was crazy. It was like this weird little niche company that just started. They were a couple days old. They needed someone to start working. They had no idea what they were doing. Neither did I, so it worked out well. And
How many employees were there at that time?
I think there was 3.
Oh my God.
There was 3 of us.
Like a garage you're working.
Oh yeah, we literally were in a garage.
Yeah.
We're in a garage. This guy pulls up, the owner of this, he owned this other company at the time, and he pulls up and basically the way it all started, he said, hey, I got this piece of equipment, and I was told that if we could figure out how to repair this piece of equipment, we would never go without business for the rest of our career. And so, hey, why not? Let's figure it out. And that's what we did. We just got to work and started figuring it out. And short story is we worked on this piece of equipment for, 6, 7 months, took it back to the customer, installed it, and it failed in like 30 seconds. It was terrible. It was a terrible failure. And but we didn't give up, and we just kept going. And so as business kind of kept going, best thing ever happened to me. Met my wife, and she kind of helped bring some balance in there. And then as I met her, I started to learn kind of what was important and what wasn't, and started to really focus and realize that I wasn't just an abandoned 12-year-old. That wasn't my identity. God had given me a lot of really amazing gifts and talents, and I was smarter than what most people gave me credit for. And I started really studying engineering. I started studying load bearings on load ratings on bearings, on seals, how things worked. And all of a sudden I found myself in the midst of designing equipment for multi-million-dollar facilities. And it worked. That's what's crazy, is that common practical sense type of approach worked. And, running ideas by my wife worked. And we just started kind of fumbling through this business world together, her and I. She's so amazing, just an amazing woman. She'd keep this notebook next to my bedside.
Shout out to Darcy.
Yes, exactly. Darcy McGowan. She's the reason. She is it. She'd give me this notebook, and she kept it next to my bedside because I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I just had these ideas, and I couldn't go back to bed. And so she gave me this notebook, said, "Babe, when you get these ideas, wake up and write them down." Yeah. And so I'd wake up and write them down, and then she would help me chase them down, over the next months or years. And some of the best ideas that we have still today in our company comes from that. And so we just kind of step by step, we just started building this thing one by one. And the other thing about it is that we just never back down from a challenge. And so we kind of, we've got a business now. We're a Rotary Airlock. We're currently the third largest manufacturer of rotary valves in the United States, and we're the number one remanufacturer of rotary valves in the world, and we're the number one value added in the world as well. So like when there's a problem, people come to us, and we'll get flown all over the country. I'm on my way over to New Orleans either tonight or tomorrow to solve some company's problem. And that's kind of what we do. We don't back down from the problems. And with that kind of attitude, it's allowed us to have virtually an unlimited market. And it's been really exciting. And it's allowed us to kind of grow and raise amazing kids. We got about 117 employees, got 6 fantastic kids. And we just kind of step by step. No real great recipe, except we just didn't quit. And so here we are today. So again, sorry, it's a little longer than 2 minutes.
No, you're good, man.
It took me longer than 2 minutes to get here. So a little bit longer than 2 minutes to explain it all. So
and there's a couple of things I really want to highlight there. First is, typically, the ideal path, or the common path, is someone's going to go to school for 6 years and learn all that engineering. I'm assuming, are just flipping through books, reading stuff online, and just kind of figured out as you went to become, essentially an already qualified engineer just from that.
Correct. I do have 5 days of college education under my belt. But I don't know if I would really brag too much about them. But it is all real. No, all seriousness, it was all. I would call it practical engineering. It was all kind of going. One of the differences about me is that I've got about 1,200 site visits. So I've been on the 1,200 different sites, and I talk to these guys that work on the equipment. Yeah. And I just listened to them. Yep. And I said, what don't you like?
Yeah.
And they said, I don't like this. And I fixed it. That's been my whole thing. Yeah. My whole life is just, you tell me what you don't like, and that's what I did. Is I just listened and changed it. That's been my strategy, man.
It's awesome. Well, and also one thing I think I'd highlight too is that you came in as the sandblaster with this company.
Yes.
So it wasn't you didn't own the company at that time. So you came in as just a standard employee, and went from that to now you own the company, and you've taken it from 3 people to 150 people. It's insane.
Yeah. It is great. When we started, starting as a sandblaster, there was the janitor. Janitor was up here, and the sandblaster was way down there. So when you say sandblaster, literally I would sandblast things outside trying to get them clean in a lean-to, but it would be raining. And so you'd be trying to sandblast a part while it's raining or snowing on you, trying to get the rain and snow off the part you're sandblasting. So it was like it was a definition of insanity.
Fighting an uphill battle there.
It just kind of kept going. So yeah, it was. But again, it was the willingness to kind of do whatever it took. I didn't care whatever it took. Didn't care. And whatever the work environment was, however tough it was, that's just, I didn't know any better. I don't know how to quit, so that's just what I did.
There's a golden nugget there. And the other thing that you had said is you talked to these guys, the 1,200 site visits, the experience there. But just, and this even happened in a conversation that we had in Orlando. I'm not going to get into all of it, but essentially you kind of showed how you approach issues in business. And, just saying that you listen to them. You listen to the other person and then just go figure out how to solve it. And I think that's a great practice. You pair that type of mindset and approach with the mindset of not ever quitting, and I don't see how someone isn't able to figure out, how to move things forward.
I think that in today's day and age, a lot of people have we have the opportunity to quit every day. We have the opportunity to say, this is too hard. It's just too hard. Well, I was out in the parking lot just before I came in here, and I was talking to my buddy who's one of our engineers, and he was talking about how hard this job was that we had. I said, you just got to remember, man, if you can go out and you can grab any single person off the street, anybody. They could be a licensed engineer for 10 years. They could be a McDonald's worker, and they can come in and say, I can't do it. It's that easy.
Yeah.
Anybody can walk in and say they can't do it.
Yeah.
But to figure it out,
yes,
that takes a special person. And that's how I get excited. And that's how my team gets excited, because we solve problems. That's what we do every day. We just keep solving them.
So, and I think that mindset and being able to instill that into the company culture is something that has led to this growth, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to have. So how do you... We've talked about some of this. We've had some great conversations. We went down, Brock and I went down and visited Rocky and saw all the different things that he's got going on. There's other real estate stuff that we'll talk about, at the end here. But from Rotary Airlock, and just someone that's out there trying to figure it out, trying to build a business. Maybe they've got a business, they've got a couple employees, they want to, they're getting more deals done, they want to grow the team. How do you... Because I think you alluded to an approach that you guys have where, the team kind of self-regulates, self-manages themselves. Like, how do you think about hiring the best people that embody that mindset and culture?
Well, at Rotary Airlock, as strange as it may sound, I alluded to having 117 employees, and that's kind of between all of our companies combined. At Rotary, we fluctuate between, mid-70s and 90s. But at Rotary, where we got the most employees as a whole, we don't have middle management. We do not have supervisors out on the floor.
Yeah.
We hire adults. We treat them like adults. We train them, and then they're our experts.
Yeah.
We treat them like our experts, and we ask them, "What do you need from us?" Instead of, "Listen to me. I'm gonna lead the way." And I felt like, probably about 8 years ago, there was a paradigm shift of, everybody, I don't know, might have been, time goes really fast, but might have been a little bit longer. But there was just this paradigm shift of everybody needed something from me. Nobody is like, almost like if I walked out of the company, the whole company would stop, all the way from, payroll to shipping. It would just stop if I wasn't there. I thought, why is that?
Yeah.
It's like I literally created a culture where it was crippling. And people were like almost scared to make decisions. And I just thought, that's my fault. That is 100% my fault. No one else's.
Yeah.
And so then I just started to work on installing confidence. One of my mentors that I worked with for a long time, he just taught me, when you make a mistake, the only question that you need to learn, or you need to ask yourself, is what can we learn? So you make that mistake is, what can you learn? You can't correct it. It's already done. You can't undo it. So what can you learn? And so I just started working with every single person on my team, everybody that we have working for us. What can we learn from our mistakes?
Yeah.
And realize that it's a safe environment. I got to be completely honest. I'm not going to say there's not days I don't lose my mind.
Yeah.
I don't get upset. I'd like to think I don't yell and scream at people. Some people might say, well, wait a minute, there was that one time. And I'm sure that'd be true. But for the most part, I like to think I would come up to you and say, Jeff, well, what did you do?
Yeah.
What did you learn from it? And how can we move forward?
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, I don't believe I've ever fired somebody for making a mistake.
Yeah.
And because when you made that mistake, when you scrap a $5, $10, or $50,000 part, that's your education.
Yes.
I feel like if you're harder on yourself than I can be,
yeah,
you're never going to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
So why would I fire you?
Yeah.
Because if you just made that mistake, chances are the next person's going to do it.
Yeah.
So if we just create that culture of it's a safe environment, guys, we got to get work done. We do. We got to get it done. But we also have to be able to realize that it's challenging and we're going to screw things up.
Yeah.
And if we screw something up, the guy at the top or, however important that person may be, just comes in and says, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
That's my job, is to come and say, it's going to be okay. And it's your job to say, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we get those roles reversed, when you tell me it's going to be okay,
yeah,
now I get pissed.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's going to be okay. You don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just made a $50,000 mistake.
Yeah.
It's not going to be okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when you start getting that rub. But when I come in and say it's going to be okay, I'm the one that has to pay for it. But when you say I'm going to learn from it, that gives me comfort.
Yes.
And
yes.
so then we start going from this whole micromanaged environment into more of a safe culture where we can all grow and learn, and then we all can grow and learn together, and then it gets really exciting because guys, what happens is guys or gals, whoever's working for us, they bring us ideas. They're like, hey, we should do this, and then you got round numbers, you got 100 people coming to you how to improve your product. Instead of one person at the top trying to improve the product, you got 100 people. Then it gets exciting really fast.
Force multiplier.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when we made that shift, oh man, our business just skyrocketed.
Yes.
It just skyrocketed. And you know what? To hell with the consequences. We make mistakes, and we still do today. But we're not defined by our mistakes. And we're sticking our necks out there every day. We're solving problems that no one else does. And we do that because we're a team. And we got a lot of great people. And it's not just Rocky McGowan. It's not just the leadership of Rotary Airlock. It is the entire company. And they are these guys they care. They do a great job. They come in, they got their brains engaged, and they want to make it better. And it's exciting. It's exciting to be a part of.
And we experienced that firsthand when we were out at your operation. We were at one of your warehouses, and there was one guy in there working late.
Yeah.
And he came right up, and I mean, at that scale, a lot of CEOs, right, wouldn't even know that person's name.
Yeah.
You knew his name, his life story, and you could tell he was genuinely excited and on the mission of what he was doing.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
I obviously as you get bigger and bigger, I'm sure it's harder and harder. And I'm terrible with names as well, but I really do try to know everybody who works for us because I do care about them and I care about their family. And that particular incident, man, he was in such a tough spot because we were launching a brand new product. He's launching a brand new product, and I hired him for that product. Mm-hmm. And so that's his whole job is for this product. And so he knows, he's like, if this product doesn't launch, it's on me. Yep. And so, and he did it. Jacob did a wonderful job. He's got these things out and running, and it just allowed our company to just get over a giant hill that was out there. And now we're able to just tackle a whole nother industry we never had before because we gave him the latitude to make mistakes and screw some things up, work some extra hours, do what you got to do. But I'd also say one of the reasons why he was working late was because he left to go to his kid's game. Yep. He went to his kid's game because that's super important to us, that you got to take care of family first, and then you got to work around that stuff.
That was a big part of the culture thing that I remember you talking about as well. Just you're going to be pissed if they don't go.
Exactly.
To the game.
Exactly. I don't ever want to get a phone call from your spouse talking about how they're not coming to games because they're too busy working overtime. That directive's not coming from the top. There's no way. We don't do that. What we do, we have a lot of conversations, say, okay, hey, we got to get the work done. We got it. But you know what? Family is more important. So you got a football game on Saturday? Well, can you come in before?
Yeah.
Can you come in after? What can we do to work around this thing?
Yeah.
Let's get both worlds done.
Absolutely.
We have to coexist here in this world. And especially after COVID and everything that's going on, it's just we were already kind of a family-orientated company, but since COVID happened, we kind of went to the next level of like, it's just easier just to ask people, what do you need?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your spouse, their company, maybe there's no flexibility. So what do you need from me? What do you need? Because if you give me what I need, I'm going to give you what you need. Like it's going to be a two-way street. We're going to go both ways. Now, if you're worthless and you're not pulling your weight, I don't want anything to do with you. Sorry, man. You need to go to Walmart, go to everyday job. But when you're willing to care about it, which I tell you, every one of our guys and women that work for us, they care about what we do. We don't have any. I wouldn't trade any of them. And with that being said, that's why we just trade off. It makes our HR department very challenging. Don't get me wrong, very challenging. but yeah, it's we definitely just try to do what we got to do to help get through life together.
I think that's extremely respectable.
And so I'm kind of shifting gears a little bit,
Sure.
but I'd like to, when we went out and visited you, I was just, Jeff and I were talking about after, like, it was just cool seeing you like in your environment. You got all these companies you're running, you're banging out phone calls in between things. Like,
Sure.
it was really cool to see. So maybe to kind of highlight for the listeners, like give a full scope of like all the businesses you're involved. So you have Rotary Airlock.
Yeah.
Maybe break down some of the other things you're doing.
Yeah. So we've got Rotary Airlock, which I've been a part of for, I think this year it's either 23 or 24 years I've been involved in that. And a great company. I've got some wonderful partners involved in that. And that's the biggest jewel that we got in there. But we got this other amazing thing that's really started up in the last, I guess probably 6 years, 7 years. It's called M5. And I know I told you I got 6 kids, but it started up. We have 5 kids, and then we adopted one. Before we adopted our other child, we already started this company. And so we started this company called M5 for McGowan and 5 kids. So I always tell my kids, screw around me, and it'll be M4.
Yeah.
Sure. And we're going to go down to M3, too. Yeah. No. But so it was M5 before we adopted our 6th child. So, but there are 6 kids, but and it is still technically an M5. So all my kids they're great. I can't ask for any better. So M5 is kind of an umbrella company that houses a lot of other smaller companies underneath of it. One of them is M5 Printing. It's probably our smallest company, which we have 2 DGB, direct to garment. So DG, direct to garment, DGB.
DTG?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're
So
good.
it's our smallest company. So direct to garment printers, and my kids are all entrepreneurs, and so they came to me with a proposal, and they sat me down, and they wanted to buy this direct to garment printer so that they could make these custom shirts and sell them all over the country. I'm a sucker for kids, but I'm a real sucker for kids that want to be entrepreneurs. And so we invested in them, and they did a wonderful job. I got a great return on my investment to help them get off the ground, and they're running this company. And they're well into the 6 figures of selling T-shirts. And so they're making really, really good money on this. And also another thing is, you got to know about my wife. Anybody who knows my wife knows that A, that she's a wonderful woman, and B, that she's married to me, and so she's got to deal with all kinds of crap. But the other thing you got to know about her is that she's a giver. Like, she gives on to everything and anything she can get her hands on. And so this was really another avenue in which she could bless people by. She could give unto organizations. She could donate T-shirts to churches and organizations. So she was really excited about that. She gets to do a lot of that. And we just got this phenomenal phenomenal person who helps us out. Her name is Morgan, and she kind of does this on the side as well. And Morgan helps us with all these T-shirts, and so she helps make a lot of those T-shirts go. But that business has really blossomed a lot. So now we have 2 of these printers going, and it's just really bloomed. And the profit margins on them are really high. You got $3-4 a T-shirt. You got 30 to 40 cents of ink.
Yeah.
And we can print them in about 40 seconds. So, I mean, we can bang, bang, bang. I mean, we're printing these shirts out. You got somebody, we had a company, great company, love the guy. He's another young entrepreneur. His name is Eric. He runs a company named Eric's Moving Company. And he bought like 300 or 400 T-shirts. And, we printed those in an afternoon. Just bang, bang, bang on these printers. This is awesome. So that's our printing business. Really excited about that. And then we have 7 Airbnbs currently up and running, and so that's been pretty exciting to get that up and going. The 7 Airbnbs are. My wife loves the Airbnb side, not the cleaning aspect of it, but the fact that it's all registered under my name. So whenever anybody asks a question on Airbnb, she responds under my name.
Yeah.
So she's always, Rocky is like the nicest guy. Yeah. Like, I am so nice because she's always responding under my name. So we got all these Airbnbs going on. And because we had these Airbnbs, we basically had to start a laundromat.
Yep.
So now we got a laundromat going because we could have 70 loads of laundry a day that has to get done.
And for the record, Brock and I stayed in one of the Airbnbs. It was very clean. You were talking to us about everything just standardized. I mean, it was a really... In the Airbnb world, it's like it's all about your experience, right?
Yeah,
It's the hospitality business, right?
Absolutely.
We had a great experience there. There's been some Airbnbs that I've gone to, and it's been like, that sucked. I mean, it was terrible. It was brutal, right? So, but you kind of build a business off the reputation and the ratings and everything that way, and then the engineering mind of yours just standardized all the procurement, all the things that you have
down to the towels.
Down to the towels.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything, and I know we haven't really touched on this, but that lean manufacturing background that I have, that I built up over the years that allowed us to think through, we got to create these kits for off the laundromat that the Airbnb people can pick up, they can get ready, and make a kind of swap out, and then do a quality control also, because we got to make sure you got so many shams, so many blankets, so many sheets, so many towels, all of it. It really is standardized. So that was really a big backbone to allow us to kind of start scaling and allow us to continue to scale. Because like I said, we got 7, but we have 12 more in process.
Yeah.
So we got 12 more Airbnbs in process. So that's going to be really exciting to get that up and going in the next year. So that's kind of another aspect that we have going. And then we have our M5 construction. We have a whole construction team. We have 18 to 21 employees, just depending on what's going on in the construction aspect. We don't do any work for outside people. We only work for our own projects. So basically, we go out, we purchase the properties, we do the work on them, and we decide what we want to do with them. If we want to do like an Airbnb, or if we want to sell them, in a subject, like in whatever that may be, as far as a lease to own type of situation. We actually don't straight up sell properties anymore. We don't go out and sell them on real estate. That's a whole nother reason. Then we have an acquisition company that we're only about 4 months into, that we're purchasing. Their only focus is to purchase properties. And so you guys actually came to an auction with me one time. And there was that property there that was like, I don't know what it sold for. It was like $8,000 or $12,000 or something.
I was that close to getting a property in Sterling,
I gotta
Illinois.
grab my checkbook out. We're gonna buy us a property here and get going. So glad you didn't. That was terrible property. It's terrible. But we got a team. We got a team of 3 people that just focus now on acquisitions, and we're pretty excited about that, because that kind of feeds the back end of our system that's going on. And then the other side, which is very important, is that we actually supply rotary airlock bearings and seals. We call them kits. So we provide them kits for all their products, and then we private label and ship out all of the spare parts to the customers when they order these kits. So we've got a lot of different irons in the fire, but we're big on systems.
Yes.
We're just big on systems.
So we got to double click on the kits. So
Sure.
we saw this, and so all M5 is pretty much one thing I'd like to highlight too is, so we walk through rotary airlock warehouses. I mean, a couple 100,000 square foot of warehouses, right?
Yeah.
So the big operation. And then we go to this, what is it, a couple 5,000 square foot building. And he's like, yeah, this building, like, you know, the amount of business that's housed in this roof it was very impressive to see.
Incredible.
Yeah. But one thing, so the kits, so there's, as you were showing us, there's this little back room within this 5,000 square foot building where all of it happens. Yeah. And one of your daughters is the one that actually is making these parts for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And then the even more impressive part was you showed us one of these parts, right? So it's a little part. I mean, you were like, guess how much this costs? And I'm like, you know, I don't know, $20. Like, it looks like something you'd maybe just go pick off the shelf at, you know, Home Depot. And what do you say? It was like $5,000 or something.
Some of those kits can be, they can definitely be a couple $1,000s a piece, and you got $100 worth of expense into them. And again, my daughter Cabry, you know, I really started doing the kits for Rotary Airlock because of her, because she runs a whole nother business that's not really related to Rotary Airlock, and she is a cosplayer. Mm-hmm. And so she just makes these amazing cosplays and probably makes more than the three of us combined doing that. Yeah. You know, she makes ears and tails and all that stuff. And but I wanted her to have something solid that she could make a continuous income off of and be able to kind of flex her artistic skills at the same time. So I wanted her to get into doing these kits. So she makes these kits, and we have these parts, and these are proprietary parts that have, they're patented and proprietary for Rotary Airlock, and they do have low expense to them, but they have millions of dollars of development to them in the background. And again, I would go back that little kit, what we call our MAP seal, our mechanical aerated polymer seal, came as an idea that I wrote down on a piece of paper one night in the middle of the night. I woke up and I told my wife, I said, babe, we are going to retire. We're going to retire off this. And she's like, okay. And I brought home the first prototype. I was like, listen, I'm so excited about this little red elastomer, and then that's what that was that you were looking at. I was showing it's like $8, and now they were, because those micro maps are even smaller. They're, and they're going for like $5,000 or $6,000, and they're just so small. And I brought her that first one home, and I'm like, sweetheart, this is going to be our retirement. She's like, wait a minute, you just spent how much on a mold for this? I'm like, babe, it was like $80,000, but it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
It's going to pay off. And she's like, I'm going to go do some dishes. But it is starting to pay off.
What an angel Darcy is.
She does not get enough credit for dealing with all my stuff. But yeah, you're right. Those expenses now are very low, and we've got it dialed in. And my daughter does handle all those kits. So yeah, you're right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now knowing kind of the scope of your empire, you could say,
sure.
What does your day-to-day look like? Like, it's kind of just like, what are you doing on a daily basis?
You know what? What I do every day is, honestly, I solve, and it's not even that I solve. I help other people solve and think through problems that they can't figure out. So whether it be a guy in shipping or a one of my top salesmen, no matter who it is, if they've got something they can't figure out and they've kind of gone through the paces, then they'll give me a call. If you just woke up in the morning and be like, I can't figure out how to get my shoes on, don't call me, dude. We're going to have a problem. Yeah. But if you've done everything you can to try to get your shoes on and you can't figure it out, and we've kind of gone through the paces and you've called all the proper channels, then I want to get involved and I want to help. So really, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm almost strictly a problem solver now. And in one sense, it's kind of stressful because you've got, you think about it, you got 100+ people that are, I feel like probably every one of them is more intelligent than I am, and they couldn't figure it out, and now it lands on my lap, and there's nowhere else to go. So that's what I do every day is work with them. And honestly, a lot of that comes down to I just ask questions and helping them kind of think through it. And when I do that, it's kind of helping them get to the right resource.
Yeah.
And then it's always rewarding when you can help them talk through it and they come up with the answer themselves, because then they feel like they've contributed to it.
Yeah.
And they get to move on, and they learn the process of thinking. And so that's a lot what I do every day anymore. And there's the mundane things, the things, what people don't ever want to talk about is they don't want to talk about the normal everyday stuff you have to do. Everyday stuff I don't like to do, but I do every day, is I watch over cash flow. I look over our receivable. I look over our payables. I know what our numbers are. I have to know.
Yep.
If you got a business and you don't know what that is, you're a moron.
Of course.
I'll just tell you that right now.
You got to know your numbers.
Yep.
100%.
And so that I do all the mundane stuff, but honestly, I do all the mundane stuff before most people get out of bed.
Yeah.
That's if you want to talk to successful business people, most of them are doing the majority of their aspect of their business before 8 o'clock in the morning.
Because there's chaos during the day.
Yeah.
Between 5 and 8 o'clock, I'm doing the receivables, the payables. I'm checking in on all that stuff. I'm making sure that shipments are where they need to be. I'm looking on late things. I'm dealing with the challenges. Some of the most effective people around me that are really highly effective people, they're setting appointments with me at 6 and 6:30 in the morning. Like they want to get in before the chaos starts.
Yeah.
And then after that, then I problem solve. So that's the real story. Make sure everybody understands
That's awesome.
there is the daily grind you
Yeah.
still have to do no matter what.
Well, we just had an episode talking about kind of that same thing, right? Like you're never really going to escape. Like there's always going to be chaos in your day. There's going to be problems you have to solve, and you have to carve out that time for like you said, kind of those things you got to get done, because at 9 o'clock it's you're in the fire now, and it's going to be a grind.
Absolutely.
And Brock's more of a night owl. I'm more of a morning person.
Yeah.
I like the 5 a.m. to 8
Yeah.
a.m. shift. He's like the 8
Sure,
a.m. to 11 p.m. shift, which actually works pretty well.
Oh, I don't think there's anything magical. Yeah, I know a lot of people are very set on the whole morning routine. You got to get up at 5 a.m. if you're going to be a CEO, run a successful company. Nah. I think it is. You've got to dedicate quiet time.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to dedicate quiet time. And if your quiet time is from midnight to 2, then that's when your quiet time is.
Yep.
But you do have to have that quiet time. I do think it's important that no matter what you do, that you prioritize your time. And if you haven't read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Stephen Covey.
Yeah, #1 book. And I would even say screw reading the book and just understand 4 quadrants
Yeah.
of time management.
We took a picture of
Yes,
that in your
that-
office.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, the 4 quadrants is it. I mean, that's your whole life. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you put marriage in there. Doesn't matter if you put kids in there. Doesn't matter if you put business in there. Those 4 quadrants are it. And when you realize if you're failing at life, if you put that whatever you're failing at inside that quadrant, you'll realize you're spending time in the wrong place.
So talk us through the quadrants. There's
Sure.
urgent, not urgent.
Sure. So you got your 4 quadrants, and if you got I think you got a picture of
Yep.
it there, and you've got the I don't want to misquote the famous but oh my gosh, it's actually a picture from my office. Yeah. So you got the quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those are. Most everybody lives in quadrant 1, where it's urgent and important. You're just like people are constantly beating on you. Gotta have it now. Gotta have it now. Gotta have it now. And you never have time to think. And that's where most people who run companies live. And that's why you can't scale. And I think that there's great content out there. I think there's amazing people. I'm not big into being negative on anybody who is trying to do business, especially when it comes to scaling, because there's a lot of different ways of doing it. But at the same point in time, I think that if you're going to constantly live in that quadrant 1 where it's always about urgent and important, and you don't take that time to think, you don't take that time to really think, what is eating up all my time? What's eating up all my... And if you put your marriage in there, and say, what is it that's eating up? What is it that is negatively affecting my marriage? and you put that in that time study of Quadrant 1. So basically, we don't have a visual in front of us, but you do have that.
We'll throw a picture up.
Yeah, we'll throw a picture up there. All right, make it feel a little better. So Quadrant 1, you got urgent. You basically got the 4 quadrants. So you've got urgent and important on the left hand side, and then you got important and not important on the left hand side, and you got urgent and not urgent across the bottom. So as you cross those two, so when you've got Quadrant 1, you've got important and urgent, and your kids. I would say your kids are almost always in important and urgent.
Yeah.
They're always in there. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had kids, but when their diaper needs to be changed, it's urgent and important.
Yeah.
Okay, there's multiple things going on there that need to be taken care of. But, when you get into Quadrant 4 is just complete waste of time. It's not urgent and it's not important, but you waste time there.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, not to get into a whole different thing, but, you get into pornography. It's not urgent and it's not important.
Yeah.
But it sucks the life out of you.
Yeah.
It sucks the life. You're in Quadrant 4 at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Going to the strip clubs. Yeah. It's not, if she doesn't get your dollars, it's not important. And if she doesn't get your dollars, it's not urgent.
Yeah.
It is Quadrant 4, man.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of start breaking that down, and you start, but the one that really gets people, that really people get lost in, is Quadrant 3, where it's not important, but it's urgent. It's not important, but it's urgent. And so, family, most of the phone calls you get from your family is not important. But man, do they believe it's urgent.
Yeah.
You need to stop everything you're doing right now and answer the phone call.
Yeah.
Because your mom's calling. Because your sister's calling. Because your brother's calling. Yeah. It is not important that you end right then and talk to them. But that's the way that they want it to be. But if you really want to do something with your life, if you really want to be important, not important, because that's not the right word. If you want to be effective with your life, if you want to impact people in a positive way, you need to learn to be in Quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 is always not urgent, but important.
Yeah.
It's not urgent that I solve this problem today. It's not urgent. But man, when I solve this problem, I no longer have to deal with it.
Yeah. So it's important that way.
Yeah. So if I work together, if I work with my team, and we can shave an hour off a process, we're still doing it today. But if I shave an hour off there, it's not urgent. But man, it is important that I get rid of that. And when you start living in Quadrant 2, your whole world starts changing.
The hour saved is hours saved in the future.
Yes.
Numerous hours.
Yeah. And then I'll go into the other favorite thing I love to talk about. So there's two things I love to talk about. The 4 quadrants of time management. You got to learn to be in Quadrant 2, and you'll never be there. You will never be in Quadrant 2 until you make time for it. And how you make time for it, you just start making a little bit each day. I'd encourage you to say, I'm going to take 30 minutes every day to just be like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pick my number one thing that's my challenge, and I'm going to figure this thing out, whatever it may be. But that's the biggest thing that we got to do is just really work together in that. But the other thing I like to do is I talk about all the time with anybody I can get to listen to me is the very basics of a number line.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy that people don't understand a number line. It's so simple. The difference between -1 and +1 is not 1.
It's 2.
It's 2.
Yeah.
It's 2.
Yeah.
It is so important to know that it's 2.
Yeah.
And so I'd like just relate it down to construction guys. I talk to guys all the time. I go, okay. So let me get this straight. You're going to go to Menards. You're not going to do any work. You're going to go to Menards and buy you're going to buy one board. And it's going to cost your hourly rate's $40 an hour. Yeah, it's like, but that board's only $4. I'm going to run and grab it real quick and I'm going to come back. Okay, so it took you an hour. He's like, yeah, it took me an hour. So how much did it cost? It cost me $4. Wait, what? No, I just paid you $40 to go to Menards to buy a $4 board. And now, what did you do while you're at Menards? Well, I picked the board up. Well, how about let me put you like this? What did you not do while you're at Menards? Well, I don't know. I got the board. No, you didn't work.
Yeah.
You did not do any construction.
Yeah.
So it didn't cost me $40, dude. That $4 board cost me $84. People don't get that on a number line.
That is a great way to look at things.
And when you own a company, you think of that all the time. It's the same concept, leave money on the table, but I just leave it simple on a number line. So, but this quadrant, this 4 quadrants of time management, it's super important, especially, young businessmen like yourself. If you guys can figure this out in your 30s, you'll make a lot more money than I ever thought about in your 30s, because it took me a long time.
It's not easy. So I was going to ask, and I don't know if I'm not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but
sure.
Is there I think you gave a really practical example, and Brock and I were kind of talking about it before too, of you said just start with 30 minutes a day.
Sure.
And then you can grow that from there. Like, how can you, when everybody's coming at you and everyone thinks everything's important and urgent and they're calling you and, you're just answering emails and texts and phone calls and, but how do you have the ability to just have the discipline to carve out the 30 minutes just to get started on that?
The first thing I do when I'm talking to one of my team members, and honestly, my phone is open. Every single person in the company has my phone number.
Yeah.
Everybody. I don't say, oh, well, only the people in the office or only, no, everybody. My number is on a board. You can call me day or night. And as a matter of fact, the reason I do that is because if something negative happens to you or your family, I want to be the first to know about it, because I'm going to be the first to help you.
Yeah.
So that there's that personal aspect. But the other thing I do is that when somebody calls me and they're talking about stuff and they've got this big, long grocery list of crap, I just tell them, first off, did you talk to who you should have talked to first? Did you talk to Tim? Did you talk to Alita? Have you talked to the people we've got in place that solve these problems? Yeah, I talked to them. Okay, well, you came to me with 5 problems. Let me tell you something. I'm a guy. I got one. That's all I got. I got one. I only got one thing, because let me tell you, I can only focus on one thing at a time. Yeah. That's all I got. I only got one. So when you bring me something, when you bring it, it better damn well be important, and it better be one. And if you can't articulate what your problem is, I'm gonna tell you to go away.
Yeah. Because
you're just complaining.
Yeah.
And don't come in. I had this big meeting one time. It worked out. And I wish we had an example here today. It's awesome. I brought everybody in the company together. I brought everybody in, and I gave everybody 5 stuffed animals. Gave them all 5 stuffed animals. I said, when we're done, you guys could take them home. So I went to Walmart and bought like 350 stuffed animals. It was hard to get.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuffed animals. So, everybody's walking in. I'm handing everybody 5 stuffed animals. They're like, what the heck is this guy going to do now? Give everybody that. And I made everybody walk up to me and give me one. Everybody walked up and gave me one. I said, I just asked a real simple question. How many stuffed animals do you have in your hand? They're like, well, we have 2. I said, how many do I have? And one guy came out and started counting. I said, let's make it easy. I have 76. There's 76 of me in this room. So you just gave me 76 problems right now, and you have 2. Everybody in this room, you just gave me 76 problems, and you did it in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
In minutes, I got bogged down with 76 issues. So what I want to challenge you is that your problem is to say, Rocky, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
What problem can I take from you? Or at the very least, what can I do to keep from my problem spilling over to you? Yeah. So go through the process. We actually have a team of people that solve problems in the company. We have people available that come out, and they'll, no matter what department you're in, they'll come out and they'll work with you and see what they can do to problem solve. And if they can't solve it, then I'll get involved. But really, that's you got to go through the whole thing. But if you got round numbers, if you got 100 people working for you, you could literally end up with 100 problems right now, quickly.
And that just consumes all your time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so you got to be very careful to push that back.
Yeah.
And so that's what you got to get good at.
That is, and I think that's something that you learn over time, and something that you just got to be really, really cognizant of. And that's it sounds like you definitely are, and that's the reason you've been able to build, the scale that you've been able to build. But it's definitely something that we're working on and trying to make sure that we can. That's a good analogy too with the stuffed animals.
They're still floating around the shop. There's still a lot of those stuffed animals. But telling people you don't want to deal with their problem is one thing, but telling me you don't care is a completely different. Because, gosh, I'm trying to get choked up and the stuff comes up, but it hits me every time. I've had the pleasure, and please understand what I mean by that. I've had the pleasure of dealing with spouses that work for me, and their spouses have had brain cancer. I've had the pleasure of working with people where their kids have had terminal cancer. And I've had the pleasure of working with people that have lost their kids. And that stuff, man, that is stuff you don't take lightly. And that is your job as owning a company. That's your job. Your job is in the company. I don't care if you buy a Lamborghini. I don't care if you buy a Porsche. I don't care if you buy a boat. That's all on you. I don't care. I'm not judging you whether you can or you can't. Good for you if you can. That has nothing to do with it. But if you buy a Lamborghini, you damn well better be able to take care of your employee that's going through a life hardship.
Going through hell.
Yeah. You better be there for them.
Yeah.
You better figure it out. And if you can do both, God bless you. Then you're in the right spot. I think where you get messed up is when you're like, I don't know, Timmy needs a surgery that insurance won't cover, and it's $400,000, or I can buy a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
That's what's messed up.
And then that bleeds into the company too.
Yeah.
Like, you're not when your team knows that you have their back.
Yep.
By all means, I think everybody works harder. They're more focused. That's the way you've been able to build this sort of empire.
Absolutely. So it's give and take, and we got to do it together. So it's good. If you guys seen it, you come out and you work in the shop. No matter if you're at M5 and the construction side, or if you're at out there on the shop, they got their job, I got my job. We all work together, and we work together when we have to.
Yeah.
So it's good, and that's the way it should be, and that's our job, and 100%. That's where we got to keep going.
Keeps it simple.
Yes. I'm not that smart, so we got to keep it simple.
10 days ago. Was it 5 or 10 days of college?
Yeah, I got 5 days. I'll tell you what, though. They did charge me for a full semester, so I should be able to say I got a full semester in me. Full semester.
All right. So last thing I want to touch on is, so obviously it's super awesome, the whole, everything you're doing. But one thing that I thought probably was the coolest real estate project I've ever seen that you're working on right now is this bank.
Yeah. Yeah,
so talk through this project. Try to explain, illustrate what this is.
Well, if you don't mind, take just one step back and talk about why real estate if we were successful in manufacturing. Well, the thing is in manufacturing, when you become successful, you have to pay taxes. You just do. And
Uncle Sam wants his piece.
He does. And America can be kind to manufacturing at times, but most times it's not. Different administrations, it doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican. I don't vote for Democrats or Republicans. I vote for people who want to help entrepreneurs succeed. And guess what? They don't run for office.
Yeah.
So it gets very, very hard to pick a candidate. People who help businesses succeed are the ones I want to vote for. So basically, when you get into it, you get into manufacturing. It's exciting. You learn things. You get going. You get it refined. You go through. You take this toddler. You make it grow. You make it walk. And now you're starting to make it run and start sprinting. And all of a sudden, you start sprinting, you're like, there's consequences to sprinting.
Yeah.
And the consequences are the tax bill.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive. I'm not saying there's not tax concessions, but it's very expensive. So it makes you start looking for additional things that help you offset capital gains. And that's where my wife and I were at a few years ago, and we really started looking into real estate. And that's where we're getting into this bank project. Call it the bank because it obviously was an old bank. It's 7 stories, and we got into that because we were just going to make too much, and we were looking at probably 7+ figure tax bill. And I'm not against paying taxes. I'm just against paying taxes if I don't have to. Let's just be honest.
Boom. I agree with that.
all legal things aside, sign whatever I need to sign. I pay my taxes. I do my. I don't sit here and say, well, as an American, the most patriotic thing I could do is pay taxes. Bullshit.
Yeah.
The most patriotic thing I could do as an American is to generate more wealth for people to have more jobs, so that we can continue to grow this country.
Completely agree.
So I do that, and you do that towards continuing to grow. And when you're a wealth generator, there's tax breaks, and that comes a lot of that is favorable in the real estate world. So we got into it. Like I said, we've got those Airbnbs and different properties, and we kind of went from 5 years ago we did about $1 million in real estate to this year we're going to do about $16 million in real estate. So it's rapidly growing, which you have to in real estate. And so this bank building is very cool. It's 7 stories. It's the tallest building in Sterling, Illinois, and we're pretty pumped about it. We're going to end up having 12 Airbnbs in there. We're going to have 2 floors of commercial real estate offices inside of there. We're going to have a fully licensed daycare facility inside of there. So everybody who has who has offices inside of there will have the ability to get daycare. Not exclusive, but they'll have first rights to it. And we've got some pretty neat things going on. We got we're gonna have what's called the vault. It'll be kind of a
cool
secret lounge, if you will. You get to walk through one of the safes. It comes with 7 safes. And then in the basement we're gonna have precious metal storage. And I wouldn't have done precious metal. I don't think I've ever got into that, but it's basically I've got some different estimates on it, but it's somewhere between a $5 and an $8 million asset in the safe that we have in the basement.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Incredible.
We walked through it. I'm like,
Incredible.
guess how much this thing costs.
Yeah.
I was so far off.
Yeah. It's just amazing. It's all stainless steel boxes. I mean, you can't make something like this nowadays. Just amazing. And so we're gonna have this. Precious storage downstairs. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We've actually just hired somebody to run that business and grow it, and we're in the process of hiring a daycare director as well. And so we're kind of getting this off the ground. We've got our plans pretty much refinalized. We had a plan. Lo and behold, challenges came. We had to solve them.
Always.
Now we're restarting again. But we're pretty excited about. We're looking at next July, so we're only 12 months away from launching this thing.
Wow.
Which sounds like a long ways away, but it is not a long ways away.
Come quick.
There's a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, so it's about 80,000 square foot to be totally renovated.
Building.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun though. We just got an amazing crew of guys over there working on it right now. They are kicking ass. And we kind of got this thing. We shut down every Friday at 2:30. Pay everybody till 3:30, and I bring in a cooler beer.
Yep.
And pay everybody for an extra hour. Thank them for their time, stay together, and just kind of, how'd the week go, guys? Because I'm not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I literally, I spend virtually no time on this project because I've got so many great guys over there. I know a lot of people at Rotary Airlock kind of think maybe I'm working on that project, but I'm not. I've got people.
Yeah, your head GC, and he's running the deal.
Yeah, he's running the whole deal. But I like to go over there and just make sure everybody knows. Hey, whenever you can be the cool guy and go with the cooler beer, I mean, you're always going to be the favorite.
That's a good feeling.
So that's exciting to have that project going.
Again, it just speaks volumes to just you being able to kind of set the vision, build the culture, do right by everybody that's working with you, and and then great things happen. And then you stumble upon things like, well, shit, we could put a precious metal storage down here.
Literally stumbled upon it. That was not my... Well, if you go back to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, he just talked so much about do real estate, and then refinance and pull out and get God's money.
Yeah.
And, what do you do with God's money?
Yeah.
You got to put it somewhere.
Because
you can only put so much of it under your bed before it starts getting a little weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, babe. Sorry for all the coins that fall out from under the bed. So it's really it's been an experience. But the real estate game is fun in the sense of it's just different. It's manufacturing. Manufacturing is so honest. It's very honest. Like you cannot be. You just can't be crooked and working it. So making the trip over into real estate, working with people, they're like, whoa, we got to get this signed. We got documents. There's legalese. I'm like, we do $2-3 million deals in manufacturing with handshakes.
Yeah.
It's because if you screw somebody in manufacturing, you're done.
You're done. Yeah.
You're done.
Word travels fast.
You walk into Cargill or ADM or LyondellBasell or one of these really big corporations, ExxonMobil, and you screw these guys over, everybody knows.
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, they got their own attorneys. They're going to come after you, but really, a lot of those deals are all done with handshakes.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of paperwork, but it's nothing like real estate.
Yeah.
So getting into real estate, it's a little weird for me because I'm like, whoa, wait, you don't trust me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a $500,000 property. It's not even even that big a deal. Like, whoa, we gotta get attorneys and
the amount of paperwork with
yes.
the loan is insane, especially residential loans.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a little different, but I'm getting used to it. It's but there's a lot of personality, a lot more personality in real estate than there is.
I believe it.
There's a lot of engineering and manufacturing, man, and you can only make so many metallurgic jokes before you're like, wow, that's really old, man. So no, I'm enjoying real estate for sure.
You're doing awesome things, and I'm sure you're a great personality for everyone that's working with you in real estate as well.
Well, I've never really fit in anywhere, so it's just I'm just Rocky. That's all I am. And if you don't like me, I'm sorry. But I do try to do right by people. I'm not saying I've done everybody right. There's always business is business, and sometimes people get rubs. But for the most part, I do believe in handshakes and looking each other in the eye. And when you tell somebody you're gonna do something, you should just do it. And if you can't, you should tell them why.
Yeah.
I didn't do it because I hate you. I didn't do it because I screwed you over. I did it because it didn't work.
100%.
And let's move on.
I think you're doing a good job at it, because when you were walking around Sterling, Illinois, you're like a celebrity there. Like everywhere we went, everyone knew you, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, guys, I really appreciate being on here.
And this is awesome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming up. Let's go have some fun.
Yes, and hopefully my wife doesn't see the rest of that night.